Okay, well hi everyone. This is just a video. There's so many mosquitoes around. This is basically just a video that part of my first videos, trying a new concept where I basically just ask ChatGPT to ask me questions to do with the movement itself, and then I attempt to answer them as cleanly as possible. There are massive amount of mosquitoes here, so I'm probably going to be a bit erratic during this video. Okay, so the first one is quite interesting. Why does humanity need a new belief system now? So force yourself to contrast finalism with religion, capitalism, liberalism. What has collapsed, what is missing, and why finalism is not optional but necessary. So when ChatGPT says belief system, so it's just basically like an ideology, a compass, a way of knowing what's right and wrong and what to do now. So the way Christianity worked, or let's just take any form of religion, is like it's a shared belief system. It's a shared definition of truth. That where did we all come from? We came from the story of creation. I'm gonna make many references to Christianity. It's the one I know the best, and that would just be easier. So where did we all come from? Everyone has the same belief. Where are we all going? Everyone has the same belief. Why do we act? Why do we act certain ways and not others? It's all a belief system, and when it's educated and ingrained into a culture so deeply that it brings us all together and makes us work cohesively, that is when it's like that's the positive sides of for fuck's sake, this plant is really close to my face. That's the positive sides of a belief system. Then obviously you can encounter the problems you most find in modern times, where it's more divisive, because there's so many different belief systems that are encountering each other, different ideologies, not necessarily religious. It can be capitalism, communism, just like economic systems that are clashing. But it is okay. So where was I? Yeah, and we can see that today it's a bit more divisive. We live in a time where there's more ideologies and ideas than ever before, but there's no one that unifies us, or there are many that unify us, but they're just not like mainstream enough to where they have an effect over our reality. And that's the idea. Like, imagine you could reproduce, or not reproduce, I guess, produce a belief system on the same level of importance as Christianity and the same level of importance as capitalism, something that an entire civilization adopts. And when I mean civilization, I mean like Western civilization, the entirety of it could adopt, educate their children, have that in their political actions, have that in their personal decisions and their personal lives. If you can produce an ideology on that level, it could do a lot of good. It could bring a lot of people together, and depending on what the ideology is, it can itself just do a massive amount for civilization. And that's why I believe finalism is so important today. Once again, if someone asked me right now, okay, so what are the core pillars of finalism? I'd go truth, epistemic engine. We need like a very secure way of telling what is true and what is false, and then being able to spread that out across media and education and the way people consume information and consume belief, basically. But then there's more pillars down the line which I couldn't even just spit out. I agree, it's a complicated thing, and not even me, who I consider myself the founder of, I can't even put my word or put exactly what it is. I'm not going to be rigid in that way. I just understand that we need a new ideology. I believe that spirituality has a massive part to play in this. So the way we've been acting in modern times, so if I live in France, so I can take that example, is laïcité. It's, I don't know exactly what the word means, but it's essentially that any religion that you might have, you keep it to yourself. You do not talk about it with anyone else. And that's presented itself where people come to school and the teachers or the pions, the surveillant, I don't know, the people that make sure that you're not fighting in the class, the people that take care of you while you're at the canteen. He had a cross, a Jesus cross, on his neck, and he had to cover it up with a bandage, because otherwise that went against the laws or the system of laïcité, which is, I think was dumb, but whatever, who cares. And it's meant that any form of spirituality has to be completely demonized, or not demonized necessarily, but put to a side. And I think that's not the right way of treating it. I think Christianity is old and dysfunctional in modern times, but I think spirituality still has a massive part to play. There's a rat behind the fucking... spirituality has a massive part to play. Just not necessarily spirituality and, oh wow, that's... or superstition, like, this is obviously a sign and stuff like that. No, spirituality just in understanding who you are and what your place is on this earth. Understanding your mechanisms, understanding your emotions, all these things. This is all spirituality in a certain sense. And then obviously, to find meaning kind of thing. So a belief system is necessary, especially in modern times, also to be able to direct us in one specific path. So AI, so artificial intelligence is coming. And if we don't have a sort of ideology that navigates us through this dangerous world that is going to be one where AI exists and one where just kind of existential threats exist, we need an ideology to bring us together, that we can educate our children and that our children can educate theirs, and it can be one to maximize human evolution, human capability, and all around save the human race. So yeah, that's why we need a new belief system. On to the next. What does it mean to live in pursuit of the final form? Unpack the difference between survival, comfort, and transcendence. Tie it to human evolution, personal discipline, and systemic design. Okay. What does it mean to live in pursuit of the final form? So, finalism expands itself across all things like systems and especially the personal kind of realm of what it means to just be you. And living in pursuit of your final form, I've been experimenting with it recently, or not recently, but since I've kind of come up with this philosophy. And it's interesting because you can decide what action you're going to take now in reference to, would you at your top best level, the best feeling, or like your best version, would you be doing that right now? You filter every single action through what the best version of you would do, and that sort of I've found that it really helps with taking a decision now. Like so I'm morally and stuff, I'm okay sometimes with stealing from shops. I don't mind, as in I think it's like sometimes things are expensive, sometimes I just want that and I don't want to pay for it, sometimes I just want the thrill, and that's obviously when it gets to the point. But I filter it through, would me at my best version be doing this? And I go, yeah, I'm sure of this action, I know what I'm doing, and I decide to take this action, and then I steal it. That's probably not the best framing, but then you could, that's particularly when you're doing something bad, and that's a particular thing to explore. But now let's say, would the best version of me be working out twice a week? Maybe, maybe not, that depends on who you are. But I know from my best version of myself would be physically fit in a certain sense, and to sustain that would exercise then regularly, and that would then make me feel better, because it makes me have the mission of yes, when I'm working out, I'm pursuing my final form. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm chasing my self betterment, and I'm living in pursuit of the final form. So. Well, what else are the other questions? So I've probably did I go on a tangent there? I don't know. So yeah, survival, comfort, and transcendence. Yeah. So comfort, also pursuit of the final form. Sometimes when you're living in comfort, when you decide to use your phone and deaf scroll or something, taking the decision whether do I deserve this comfort? Have I acted enough today to where inaction is justified? When you're laying on your bed, you're vegetating, do you deserve it? Is this your final form? Is the comfort and the time that you're taking right now aligned and attuned to the best version of you? And I'm speaking only from personal experience. I obviously can't run this through studies or anything like that, but I think it really helps because it gets you to act. Sometimes it is overwhelming where, it's just, you can't be bothered. And in that case, it's justified because it's overwhelming. My final form of, the final form of me isn't some fucking machine beast that never stops. No, I'm a human being and I understand that sometimes I need a rest. And then in that case, it's justified. But if it is not, that's your reason to act. That's your reason, because you understand, no, I've got to act, and it's time to get up and fucking move. Next question. Okay, strategic questions. Okay. If all existing systems are failing us, what does finalism demand we build instead? Education, governance, economy, spirituality. Outline replacements or rewiring thoughts. Or rewirings through the finalist lens. Okay, cool. So if all existing systems are failing us, what does finalism demand we build instead? So what's interesting with finalism in this particular movement is that it's not necessarily responding to each problem, like we should do this in education, we should do this with the economy, we should do this in governance. It's building and improving and then distributing a meta system that goes above them all. It's not, this is the finalist way of doing it, governance. It's okay, we need to redesign the governance system. What is the finalist way of doing it? You look at it, you run it through tests, AI tests, you run it through like many things, and then you understand that, oh, okay, so this is the best way. It's analysed, it's cross-referenced everything from history, everything we know of in modern truth, and then gone, this is the best version, this is the model we should impose. And that would have mechanisms from capitalism, mechanisms from communism, mechanisms from like other points of view. It would have specific things where in specific scenarios we'd have to be careful of this. And then one of the main things of finalism is constant adaptation. Imagine there's a new thing that presents itself where I don't know, if there's something in healthcare where healthcare is often like, oh god, there's a bee oh no, what is it? Something that stings, yeah. So something in healthcare presents itself and it needs a lot of investment. It's really valuable, but there isn't necessarily a market for it. Let's say it improves fertility, but not everyone's going to like want to improve their fertility. They don't really care. They just rely on the fact that they rely on biology and just think, you know, oh, I'll be fertile most likely kind of thing, and they don't need to take this, so they don't make the investment. Yet the finalist idea is that, yeah, but we do actually need to improve our fertility if the human race is going to continue. So there'd be an adaptation in the economic system or the governance system to make this particular healthcare thing like align or whatever. I'm speaking like like dust. I know nothing. I'm 18 years old and I'm just an ambitious little shit. I don't know much about what I'm talking about most of the time. But what I'm good at is making friends who do know what they're talking about. So yeah, and that's why I'm going to England, Bristol. Still in France, by the way. Yeah, these are one of the early episodes. Right, let's move on. How does finalism turn human flaws like greed, fear, ego into engines of evolution rather than corruption? Show how finalism doesn't deny the darker side of humanity, but engineers it towards higher end. So, first thing we need to put down is that we are humans. We exist in this like vacuum of space on a globe, and we are particular. Just because we are the only species that we know of doesn't mean that this is the one end all be all of what it is to be a civilization kind of thing. We have done magnificent things despite our darker sides. And you know, there's probably other civilizations out in space that also have different things. They probably have less greed. They probably have way more, so their civilization works differently. Okay, just like repeat the question because this is an interesting one. How does finalism turn human flaws like fear, greed, ego into engines of evolution rather than corruption? So, if we look at the system of capitalism, the engine of capitalism is incentive, and that's a statement you probably agree with, probably don't, and it doesn't matter, in my opinion anyway, and for the context of this video, capitalism as its engine has incentive. And to put that, brutally, it's like capitalism rewards people financially, and I guess capitalism rewards those who, for fuck's sake, those who produced. I can't. Oh shit! I haven't got the words on it. Okay, so incentive. People have the incentive to go into certain tendencies. I'm having trouble explaining it. People have the incentive to work in the capitalist system because it brings them more money, and it acts on the human flaw or the human nature of greed. Capitalism rewires greed in such a way to where it's literally built the world that is around us. If you will, USA is the most economically powerful. The USA is the most powerful country because it is the richest country, because it is the greediest country, if you will. And the way finalism looks at this is we are humans and we are imperfect. We have fear, we have greed, we have ego, but we just need to rewire those incentives. Imagine you can rewire the capitalist system to where it benefits evolution and long-term benefits for the entire race. That's how you rewire human flaws. You understand them, study them, see how capitalism has taken advantage of them, and then rewire the system in a specific way to where it benefits either the mass or long-term evolution. What else? So that's the big one. Capitalism is the big one. It rewires greed. But if we made another economic system, not necessarily completely different to capitalism, but that just rewired greed in a slightly different direction, or for slightly different reasons, or there were different incentives, then you would benefit massively. An example is, for example, if you made investing in healthcare, investing in welfare, investing in clean energies and things that benefit humanity in the long term, if you made them economically viable, there would be more incentive to go towards them, and that's how finalism would act. What an interesting thing of finalism is it demands probably a bit more governmental control, but by a competent government. That's the difference. It does there may be a need for some sort of governmental control to be able to control markets in a certain way, like what I said, to make things that benefit humanity more economically viable, and therefore incentivize the capitalists to go towards it and invest in this sort of in these industries, in these domains that benefit humanity in the long term. Next question. Okay, mythic questions. Okay, what is the story humanity is currently trapped in, and what story does finalism offer instead? Okay, sorry. What is the story humanity is currently trapped in, and what story does finalism offer instead? So when I've been building this channel, this content, this thing, an interesting thing is that myth is a massive part of everything, and not myth in the sense Heracles and Hercules. I don't know. Is it the French? Is Heracles the French version? Yeah, Hercules. And Zeus, or Jesus, and all these. I'm not talking about myths that aren't real. I'm talking about myths like just the idea of freedom. It's not a myth because it isn't real. It's a myth because it's a story that a civilization tells to itself and therefore feels pride about it. The myth of the nation, for example, what does it mean to be, let's say, British? To be British means you own a part of its history. To be British means Sorry, funny things just came in my mind. British means you're proud to be this small country that has dominated the world. To me, British means you're proud. You integrate yourself into pub culture. You integrate yourself into the English language and its social aspect, kind of thing. That's what myth is. It's a story that you tell yourself that brings us together. That's not the basic definition of myth. There's another one, but the story that humanity is currently telling itself, to come back to the question, I would actually say that there is none, or there is a massive lack of them. There definitely is one, and obviously there's different ideologies. For example, if you go to the Middle East, there'll probably be a domination of the servitude of God and blah blah blah. But if you go to Western civilization, I believe when we talk about a crisis of identity and a crisis of spirituality and crisis of meaning generally, I believe it is because we have no story that we are telling ourselves. For a long while, I would say during, for example, the Industrial Revolution and during the time, kind of the golden age of America, for example, the story that we're telling ourselves is, the story that we're telling themselves more so is that growth and sustaining the nation and participating to what it means to be American and stuff like that. I guess the story. I think I could orientate it more that way. The story that people are telling themselves more personally is that they serve their society and they serve their country. But I think there's a massive lack of it. And if we could introduce a new one, for example, finalism, I think that would bring us all together in a very beautiful way. The idea of, we are serving the future of humanity. That the story we are telling ourselves is serving the future of humanity. Why don't I pollute? Why don't I throw my bottle on the ground? No, because I'm part of what it means to be human. And I'm not going to do that because I want humanity and my love for humanity to go forwards and be passed on, and for future generations to live in a beautiful world as I have. Next question. If finalism succeeds, what does the world look like 200 years from now? So, if finalism succeeds, and that's, I think in 200 years we'll still be fighting our fight, but let's say finalism succeeds and gets into power in 2 years, and it fully convinces the entirety of Parliament, and we get into power. In 200 years, the world would, I think the world would probably be in a certain sense quite elitist. It would be massively demanding of the best possible version, to a point where we could obviously probably encounter issues with the fact that we're probably a bit too harsh, and it gets maybe a bit totalitarian or whatever. There'll obviously be things we need to avoid, and that philosophy being a massive part, and the constant pursuit of truth and the best way will mean that we'll do our best to avoid negative things such as totalitarianism or elitism. But 200 years from now, universities will be temples of truth. That's what I just literally read of it. Universities will be a massive part of it. The reason for being here will be literally to learn, and to expand our knowledge about the universe and ourselves. Governance will be, I think there will be the work. Oh yeah, if finalism succeeds, for example, and enters Parliament in Europe, I think in 200 years from now, I would like to say the entire world would be kind of on board with it to a certain degree. I understand that China, they have their own way of seeing things, but if we're able to have finalist management or organization around understanding that we must work as one civilization, the entire Earth, I think then China would be convinced into it, because we would make the steps towards convincing China to join us. So I think 200 years from now there'd probably be massive advancements in science, in space exploration, medical, massive there'd be, I don't know if AI, I don't think AI would be artificial intelligence would be slowed down. I think artificial intelligence would more so be there'd be more importance put on it, and then there'd be many more experts in the area of what artificial intelligence is, and there'd be more people working on it, and I don't know if that would mean that we'd have to slow down AI or accelerate it, or I don't know for now. But 200 years from now, I think the world would be a better place. We'd solve problems such as climate collapse, we'd solve problems such as the crisis of meaning, suicide rates would probably come down, there'd be, oh my god, 200 years from now, psychedelics would be fucking everywhere. I've been microdosing for the past week now, and oh yeah, have you? I've been too. I've been doing a little bit more this week, joke. But schools, oh my god, there'd be initiation ceremonies, there'd be reconnection with the past, there'd be I hope if we can get a cultural revolution to actually happen, there would be a better a revolution, or not a revolution, but a revamp in the way we design buildings, because like I've lived in France here, and buildings obviously they don't really have any incentive to make their buildings like pretty as they were, like or as the old buildings in France are, because yeah, but it'd be interesting if we could like have a revamp of, you know, how much effort we put into making buildings look good and pretty. But yeah, 200 years from now, the world I think would be a better place. We'd obviously encounter problems with the actual idea of finalism, it going too far or having too much power, but those are obviously things that they are problems that finalism aims to respond to. Literally, if there's a problem, it means that we need to act, and that's why the finalism system is in place. Next question. Okay, let's get. I just finished the question, so I think I'm going to stop there. Yeah, this is the first video of this sort of type I've done. I don't know how I'm going to publish this, so I guess this will be watched years down the line to see what I look like. If you can see it, this is what I look like. I'm a young boy. Got Ricardo coming right now to do a podcast. I'm happy I did this though. I feel better. Yeah. But finalism will breathe, and I've got to get like really on it, like understanding what the actual values of finalism are. I've got to be able to, like, you know, spit them out fucking on the spot. But it is like a very complex, you know, idea, and it is hard to just like all I know is that truth is a massive part of it. And what I mean by truth is as a massive part of it, see it like this: the reason why Christianity held so much power and the church held so much power back in the day is because they withheld the truth. God knew all. He was absolutely omniscient, omnipresent, and all powerful. Omnipotent. There we are. And if I make the analogy, the reason why you felt comfortable in the presence of God is because you felt comfortable knowing that He knew everything. What we need to be able to produce with finalism is certainty of truth. So that someone who is like seeking answers can go towards the finalist system or the finalist world in any way, whether that's an artificial intelligence or just a finalist member who, you know, is a philosopher in whatever and can tell him what the truth is about his situation and analyze it from all perspectives and give him a right answer, truthful answer. It also presents itself in misinformation is extremely dangerous for a modern civilization like this. Like fake news spreads itself 6 times faster than real news. That is wrong, and that is quite dangerous for a civilization that needs to evolve. So there'd probably even be like a certain amount of control on the media and education, or not necessarily education, but the ways of acquiring belief. There'd be, you know, filtration systems of truth. If like imagine you're about to publish a video about something, and you press upload, and then the finalist system or AI recognize that there might be some fake news in it, and then questions you, what did you mean by this, or like what was the idea behind this? And if you explain yourself correctly and it goes, oh, okay, fair enough, it uploads it. But if you're like, oh, I thought that was right, and it goes, no, well, we can see by the data that has actually been performed on this subject that no, you are wrong, so unfortunately either change this part of the video, or I can, like the AI says, I can cut it out, just it specifically, and you can publish it, or, you know, I'm sorry, I can't publish it. Don't know, that's just an idea. But yeah, we need to get thinking as a civilization how we can make our world better, and hopefully in the minds of everyone that ever thinks about it, finalism will probably come up. Right, see you in the next one, guys. Thank you for this.